The answers are falling in place for Ohio State. But if you think we still don't have more questions, well, you don't know television's Adam King at all. Welcome to a Talkin' Tuesday on the Beat, presented by the Waterworks. That, of course, is Adam King of 10 TV. I am merely Austin Ward. And Adam, we were texting on Saturday. By the way, every show, we're contractually obligated to talk about Arthur Smith until he gives his own press conference to introduce himself at Ohio State. We must get every opinion possible. You and I were talking about it as the move happened pretty quickly and came together for the Buckeyes over the weekend. And I know that you were jazzed. Are you still fired up about this hire?
100% I'm still fired up. First of all, I just want, for those that are watching on 10 TV Plus in the 97.1 Fan YouTube page, notice I did come into work. Austin decided to work from home because he was too lazy to shovel his driveway. I thought it was pretty rude that the sweet, nice person next door asked Austin if he would shovel his driveway as well. And he said, "Go inside, sir. I'm not doing that for you." But that's neither here nor there.
Hold on. I do have to give credit. So yesterday, really pulling back the curtain right away. On Sunday, during the downpour, I'm recording the Bourne Blitz with Zach Bourne. I said, as soon as I'm done, I got to get outside. I got to get shoveling. Allie had already done the entire driveway on her own. And I had said, I'm going to do it. And she just so I haven't even done that myself. Can't get out of the neighborhood yet. But I do feel very bad because you were joking, but there is a very serious it cuts to my heart because I did
not know that story. Well, you know what? That's great on Allie. You had to be inside working because you had to be looking at this Arthur Smith stuff. And with it, I really do. The similarities to where we sat this time last year talking about Matt Patricia, it's almost crazy how similar this whole conversation is, because with Arthur Smith, there are a lot of people that fall on each side. There are a lot of people that have been close to the situation with an Arthur Smith coach team, and they have their thoughts and their worries. And then there are people that, are excited about the idea of the continued, I've been saying, the NFLization of the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. And that's really where we are with this team. I fall on the side that I don't believe any coach is defined by his role in the past. And this is obviously an extreme example, but look at the New England Patriots right now. Mike Vrabel was fired from the Tennessee Titans 2 years ago. He's now getting ready to play for a Super Bowl. I didn't see a lot of Patriots fans saying, no, we don't want Mike Vrabel, or no, we don't want him anymore. So yes, it doesn't always lead to, a positive outcome, but we've seen here in Columbus the skepticism that came with Matt Patricia and how quickly that has already paid off in a historic fashion with this team. We saw Chip Kelly. Everybody acts like Chip Kelly when he was coming in, that it was the Chip Kelly of 2012 Oregon. That's not who came to coach Ohio State. I mean, It was a Chip Kelly coach that people in Philly were not a fan of. They did not want him in Philadelphia anymore. He had been in a lot of different places that people said, no, San Fran, we don't want him here. And then he came to Ohio State and helped them win a national title because he's an offensive guy and an offensive guru. So yes, I understand there are some reservations if you want to look at Arthur Smith and maybe how he handled certain situations. But I love the hire. I love it in so many ways because this is going to be Ohio State's offense that's run by Arthur Smith. And that's what this team absolutely needs, is another mind, very similar to the Bill O'Brien hire, where, and Austin, maybe I'm wrong here. I've done a lot of reading, but there's not much that connects Arthur Smith to Ryan Day. Am I right on that? I couldn't find anything.
No, it's not directly. I mean, I think there are some people that Ryan Day would consult with who would give, hands-on evaluations, experiences, and pass that along. But I don't know of any direct correlations of them working together. And one of those people, by the way, would be Mike Vrabel, who coached with Arthur Smith. That was the Tennessee Titans offensive coordinator that helped him get the Atlanta Falcons job. So, I think Vrabes was probably a little busy last week, maybe not giving a ton of time to Ryan Day, but there are enough, back channels and conversations, whether that's Mike Vrabel and Matt Patricia or Mike Vrabel being an Ohio State alum or whatever, that's about as close as it gets. And I think that Matt Patricia himself is probably able to weigh in a lot on what Arthur Smith had done and some of his own background, whether that's coaching against him knowing him or talking with people in New England or whatever that had worked with him in Tennessee previously. So I don't know that. I'm really interested, actually, if it is a Talking Tuesday, it's questions for Ryan Day about how, when, where, and why he settled on Arthur Smith, and what some of those connections actually were. Because if you're trying to piece them together as we are right now, it's not immediately clear how they arrived at that conclusion.
Well, and that's the interesting. You nailed it. The first question is, where did his name come from? Where, when you were sitting down, I love coaching searches because everybody's going to swing for the top coach in the I don't know if it's not a portal, but a carousel.
The coaching portal.
That guy's coming here. Like Mike McDaniels was, an offensive guru, and everyone's like, he's coming to Columbus. I'm like, okay, you can't just yell out guys that are good at
Brian
offense.
Daboll.
Yes,
Brian Daboll.
exactly. And listen, I was on board with Brian Daboll, but Brian Daboll's a really good coach that's going to wind up somewhere in the NFL. Mike McDaniels wanted to stay in the NFL. So where along this road did they find Arthur Smith and say, okay, let's start digging into this angle? Because what makes Matt Patricia really good is his ability to connect with the guys. And so I wonder, question here is, when did you decide, Ryan, that he was the right guy to come connect with college players again? Because I know that was a major box for this coaching search, is you want a guy that meshes in the college world, that's excited to lead young men again. And when you look at, his past, I also, sidebar, people who are like acting like he was an awful, awful coach. The Titans, he helped the Titans build something in Tennessee really, really good. I mean, for the longest time there, Ryan Tannehill looked like a really good quarterback. And I feel like we glaze over that. We just quickly move past that. Derrick Henry had his best season under Arthur Smith. So I think that's what Ohio State wanted in a running mindset. But Austin, and I'll throw this back to you. My big question for Ryan would be, and I don't know, lie detector here. If you give me the grading sheet, what did it look like? What were the boxes? And I don't think we'll ever know this. Although if it goes the Bill O'Brien route, we may know this. Who were the other candidates?
Oh, no.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just saying, because with the Bill O'Brien, we were like, wow, who else was considered? And like, we're not going to talk about that. And then magically we were like, well, we know who it is because now Chip Kelly's here.
Had to pivot. Yeah, we saw what Plan B was up close in person.
So what was Plan B? Not necessarily a name, but I think that would give you more of a sense as to the guys and the criteria that were really weighing heavily on Ryan Day. I don't think you'll ever get that, and that's perfectly fine. I don't like living in a world where someone thinks that there was a Plan B, because Plan A is here, and Plan A is Arthur Smith leading the offense and Matt Patricia leading the defense, and Ryan Day probably sitting in the best situation he's had when it comes to coordinators in his entire career. I think you may say it's a bold statement. I think it's accurate.
Well, we know what one of them can do in the college game, and that's show up and replace 9 starters from a national championship team and then build the most historically dominant regular season defense that Ohio State has ever seen. So you already have a head start there with what Matt Patricia can do. And as you said, I think there's a lot of similarities between what these resumes look like, what the hiring process looked like for Ryan Day. I actually think it's slightly different in one way, which is that Arthur Smith was still interviewing for coordinator jobs with NFL teams in the last 2 weeks. And if he had, I think, most wanted to stay at that level, there were going to be chances for him to do that. Mm-hmm. He's still very well thought of. And I not just you, but other people that were texting over the weekend. I mentioned this on Monday's episode of The Beat. Like, people in coaching circles, agent circles were really impressed with this hire. And I know that it doesn't mean anything right now. To me, it's about the process and the profile. And Ryan Day got what he wanted on both of those things. So at this point, you say, okay, thumbs up, or give it an A. While the rest of it is still inconclusive and incomplete, because you still have to go out there and put together a product and rebuild or rejuvenate that running game, or take the next step with the offensive line. I mean, I think it's very obvious what Ryan Day was looking for in these candidates, and we can narrow down who some of the others might be just by the process of elimination or reporting or some combination of both. But when you're trying to figure out why Arthur Smith was the pick, it's the success of his rushing attacks. It is the knowledge of the offensive line play. That's what Ryan Day needed more than anything else. Now, he also wanted that to be someone with head coaching experience or NFL experience, given, the schematic challenges of playing at that level. It's also why I want to go back to what you mentioned right off the jump, Adam, that trying to evaluate Matt Patricia or Arthur Smith based on their record as head coaches in the NFL, that's not what they're asked to do now. That's not just apples and oranges. Like, that's darkness to light. That's the sun and the moon. The jobs are completely different for what Ryan Day needs them to do. And, that's 21 more wins than a lot of people have as an NFL head coach, whether he was under 500 or not. Like, that's positive work.
I think you have to be excited about the hire, because I think there's so much talk about like this being Arthur Smith's offense, and like, what does Arthur Smith look like, and what is this going to look like? Have we not learned that this is always and forever going to be Ryan Day's offense? This is always and forever going to be the Ohio State offense. Like, I don't think he called Arthur Smith and said, I have Julian Sand, Jeremiah Smith, and all of these other pieces, Bo Jackson coming back, Isaiah West. Go ahead and run whatever offense you want to run.
4 starters on the offensive line.
Yeah, like, I go ahead, whatever you want to call on day one. I'm going to sit back. I'm going to vibe on the sideline. I'll let Patricia handle the defense. I'll do the offense. Whatever happens, I'll go in the press conference and handle it. Like, that's not how this is going to work. That's not how it's ever worked. It's a guy I love. I think what makes Chip Kelly great is that Chip Kelly and Ryan Day had a great relationship where Chip Kelly could almost say to Ryan, like, no, I don't necessarily agree with that. I think it's really hard. And we will never know the ins and outs of this, but if you're Brian Hartline and you're in your first year of being an offensive coordinator and you're having a conversation with Ryan Day, who is arguably one of the best offensive minds in college football, and you're trying to tell him how to do something or argue with him. No, do I believe that Ryan is very good at taking criticism or taking others' advice? 100%. But I think it can be hard to go against something. Whereas Arthur Smith has no predetermined ties here. He can walk in and say, hey, I don't know what to tell you. If Jeremiah Smith is not on the field on 3rd and 5 at the 8-yard line, like, you can't do that. Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, he can say that. And he can also—
You picked me to come here.
Yeah, that's right.
You trusted me to do this. Let me do my job.
Let me do my job. Now, he also is going to come here and very quickly see, like, wow, the core of this offense and the way that they run their offense is incredible. It's just the areas that need a little bit, I don't know. Last year we called it tinkering. I think they need Band-Aids. And I think this is the best Band-Aid in the world. I think it's an opportunity to come in and you kind of take I don't think you're losing anything this offseason. I know that sounds terrible, but like, Brian Hartline's an amazing coordinator. But like, I don't think if they continued with the offense as it was, you would see a letdown from Miami or Indiana, if that makes sense. Like another step back. Right. I think Ryan Day would have the offense ready to go. They would look good. This allows the opportunity to go be great. It allows the opportunity for the offense to take that next step where Keenan Bailey and Arthur Smith can sit in a room and say, all right, what do you have? Here's what I have. Let's merge them together. And I think when we merge them together, you're going to see an offense that excels.
Well, if you need to take the next step to make sure that your home, Adam, is winter ready, you can do that with the Waterworks and Hetter Energy Savings Plan. Get priority heating service, members only savings, and continuous comfort all year long. Call today to schedule the Waterworks and Hetter 614-232-2222. I wish they did driveways so then I could actually be down there at the studio with you talking about the Buckeyes, because as we've spent the last several Talking Tuesdays breaking this down, it's like, okay, well, how is this going to shake out with the transfer portal? What are the decisions going to be with the NFL draft? What's the timeline going to be like for these coaching staff decisions? And it's like all these things have fallen in place before January is even over. So I wonder what that leaves on your mind right now that is still to be accomplished. Is like, now we're in the port where it's winter workouts and like inside 5 weeks or so from the start of spring ball. So like, it's almost time to shift that conversation fully into 2026.
Everybody can come back from the cruise. I told everybody to get on a cruise, come back from the cruise. Come on back to town. Come on back to town.
It's pretty cold and snowy. Like,
That's right. You may not want to come back. That's how I feel. It's like, it's time to build this thing. It's time to go. And this is what I talked about a long time ago, which is enjoying the process. I put out a tweet probably right after the Miami game, and I said, I think that in the end, this 2024 offseason could look very similar to the this offseason could look very similar to 2024. And I think it does. I think it rivals it very much. Now, did you get Caleb Downs in the portal? No. You got a lot of good, talented players in the portal, though. You got a lot of guys that are instant players on this defense and instant players and filling roles on offense. And so now you've added an NFL mind at coordinator. My worry level is like a 2. Like, I think you start building, and I don't think there's anything glaring right now I just have questions, and I think which is great because this is Talking Tuesday.
But it is a Talking Tuesday.
My questions pretty much revolve around the idea of, like, what is this process going to look like? We still haven't officially seen. I still assume that this is going to be very Matt Patricia, Timmy Walton-esque on the offensive side with, all these guys. That's a good assumption, right? I would imagine it's Keenan Bailey working hand in hand with Arthur Smith.
Yeah, I think so, because part of the conversation, at least one that I had very early on in the process, was, well, Ryan Day can look for someone who can enhance the run game because he had a lot of confidence that Billy Fessler and Keenan Bailey, and maybe more Keenan Bailey than Billy Fessler, but it's the combination of those two with Ryan Day that can handle the passing attack that allowed this road to be followed with, that got you to Arthur Smith. So I think that they will certainly be, both of those guys, heavily involved in what the pass game looks like.
I love having you in person here, Austin, but I kind of like doing this over the internet because I can Google while we're talking here. The coaching staff, they're full, right?
Well, they're at surplus.
So there is the question. That's what I thought. I wanted to double check before I said it. How does that work?
Yeah. I mean, that's another, well, how does it work? It's actually, I think, it's a good question for Ryan Day, because the way he's restructured this is kind of revolutionary or evolutionary. It is within the rules, but you're structuring, the full-time staff the way that it's, once they lifted the cap on the number of coaches, I thought maybe this would be inevitable, that your coordinators, which I'm very confident that will be the case for Arthur Smith, and potentially down the road that could be the case for Matt Patricia, as well as some of these. There are still pieces that can fall into place, but that's a question both for Ryan Day about why he thinks that he needs to do that, and the decision maybe to not have his coordinators be recruiters, but also someone that was just in that studio with you 2 weeks ago, like Ross Bjork and the administration have to approve a larger salary pool, adding positions to the coaching staff that did not exist before. Now allowable under NCAA rules, but also still going to be at the discretion of a university for how they're going to support all that. So it's twofold question, because both Ross Bjork and Ryan Day have to come together and say, this is how we would like this to work. Well,
and it's interesting. It's a question that I put out the thing about the jersey patches, and how they want to raise money. And someone said, well, the jersey patches, they couldn't pay the players with that direct resource because other than just the $20.5 million.
Yeah.
Yes, that is correct. In theory, the jersey patches would go to the school, and the school couldn't, just start giving that to players. It's not a part of their revenue share. But that's where things like the jersey patch can very much benefit a school, is when you find these other outlets of revenue, as Ohio State has, and it really feels like they're leaning into that in a major way in these last, at least 2 years here, that you're going to look and see the ability to compete with NFL teams in salaries. And Ohio State to pretty much bat down anybody else's offer and say, we'll take that, unless they offer someone a Chip Kelly contract. You can't keep up with that. But in that regard, you can say, all right, well, we just got $2 million more from LeBron James putting his jersey patch on the which a lot of people also push back on me on that because it's a Nike thing. I don't care about your rules. Don't come in here with your facts. All right. I would like a little king logo right there, and we'll figure out it all later.
Well, the AK, that's what you want on there?
Oh yeah, we could do
that's the only king I know.
That's right. We could do the AK top 20 all on the we were supposed to reveal that, by the way.
Yeah, but we have more pressing business to talk about. Well, the AK.
Okay.
Yeah, you heard me. The AK top 20 got pushed back to the start of February because you didn't want to be way too early. You just wanted to be way too early.
No, but and the other thing, and I feel myself, I get fired up about stuff like this. I've never been a message board guy. I try to stay off the message boards. I've delved in a little bit this offseason. I've wanted to throw my phone through a wall a couple times.
Hold on a second. You live on Twitter. Message boards are a much safer space to be.
They are not. They are not. Twitter, well, okay, that's fair. Twitter makes me want to throw my phone in the river. So, the immediate reaction and the visceral reaction of some people of what a horrible hire, this is awful. It's wrong. Like I can say with certainty, I can sit here right now, and if you're listening, I can tell you the exact same thing that I sat down and said about Matt Patricia last year. Ryan Day knows what he's doing. He is one of the best college football coaches in the country. And this isn't a moral victory, but the man has been a drive away from winning a national championship 5 times in his career. And so every offseason is him trying to make sure that next year he's not a drive away, that he's back raising the trophy. That's what Arthur Smith is here. He thinks that that's the best step. I'm going to trust the man in charge that's made a lot of great hires. I'm going to trust the man in charge that's building. He's trying to build a dynasty. He's trying to keep up with the rest of college football. And this is a good off-season topic, but we've lost sight of what good coaching is. Because everyone thinks what Curt Cignetti did is the greatest coaching job in the entire planet. What Curt Cignetti did was very impressive in his way of adapting to the portal earlier than everybody else. But coaching is so much, and coaching is so much more than the plays you call against Miami in a Cotton Bowl. Coaching is so much more than how you handle a drive against Michigan. It's a constant. It's a constant. And he is by far adapted better than anyone else in college football. Look at the SEC. All of their coaches were supposed to be the greatest thing in the world. They have not adapted well. They are getting left behind, which is crazy to say. Ryan Day this wasn't Georgia or Alabama that won a national title this year. This wasn't, Clemson. Look at Clemson. They absolutely just are a disaster in the portal era. They have fallen by the wayside. One singular program has been up at the top every single season as college football has continued to change, and it's Ohio State. Yeah. And so if you think that Ryan Day sat up, threw his hands up and said, you know what, Arthur Smith, you're my guy. Let's see if I can get it. No, this was a thought out process, and it's a process that it is, I think, going to work very well because you're going to have a guy that can come in and challenge some of the struggles on offense. Mm-hmm. And we can talk about how he likes to use the tight ends. We can talk about how he's a big run game guy. We have a whole offseason to break all that down. But at its core, at the start, you have a guy that can walk into an office with Ryan Day and say, you know what? I don't know that that's what I would have called in that moment. I don't know that that's how I would set up this offense in that moment. And Ryan Day will say, well, this is why I did it. And then you meet in the middle. And what meeting in the middle looks like is an elite offense in college football.
Yeah. No, I'm really excited to see how that works out for Ohio State with Arthur Smith. And also later on Tuesday, Adam, I'm very excited to see this Big Ten schedule, which Tony Petitti has finally deemed us worthy of seeing. So on BTN at 5:30, we already know the opponents and we already know 4 of the dates for the games, but we get the other 8 later on today. And I must have it. I don't know why we're waiting until January 27th, but here we go. Everything is falling in place, and we will actually get to look forward and break down a schedule. So I feel like you already know what it is, though, because you have sources everywhere.
No, I don't know anything. What I do know is how to shovel a driveway and not make Allie go shovel it. That's what I do know. And that's all
I deserve it. I deserve it. You know what?
Is that
It's
your
fine.
old high school jersey in the background there? What is that?
That's a Wyoming football.
Oh, it's a Wyoming. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah.
You've never done this over virtually.
I know. I don't. This is not the preferred way. Where I feel like you said something that hurt my soul, that you liked being able to just have the computer there. I feel like we're losing the chemistry. It's got to be in person.
You're exactly right. It is. It's 99% better in person. But the only thing with the computer is if I have a question, I can instantly answer it without sounding like an idiot on a podcast. You know, like sometimes I'll just say things like Jalen McClain is transferring, and I didn't even mean that. You know.
I at least helped you out. I'm
true.
Trying to throw you a lifeline. I'm used to doing these virtually with Berm, obviously on the Austin Berm Show and the Beat presented by the Waterworks, and so got more experience that way. But a Talking Tuesday, that's just got to be two guys in a room chatting it up.
Exactly.
And the fact that you're still in the studio and I'm not, boy, that hurts. It's rough.
Your chair's awaiting.
All right. Well, I guarantee, I promise that the next Talking Tuesday, I will be there, and you and I will sit down together. I don't know what it's going to be. Maybe some more winter workout conversation. I do think that we are going to get a Ryan Day press conference.
I was just going to say
in the very near future, maybe even the day after the next Talking Tuesday. That was hypothesized to me. So maybe it'll be more of those questions for Ryan Day. I know that it'll be Television's Adam King and me, Austin Ward, on a Tuesday on the Beat. And that's all that matters. Thanks for joining us for this one. For Television's Adam King, I am Austin Ward, and we will talk to you probably with some Snappy Jays on Tuesday evening after we get that Big Ten schedule. Stick around for that on 97.1 The Fan, 10 TV, 10 TV Plus, and anywhere you get your podcasts. See ya.